level-headed. So I'm like using this business as a tool. So I would talk to them, not try to sell them, but I would be like, hey, you know, I saw that you posted this. I don't know if this is something you've ever considered, but I just know for me, showing up to work out really helps me keep my, you know, my mindset right. It helps me make better decisions in times of stress and high anxiety. So I'm talking to them about the feelings. I'm not like, buy this thing. You know, I'm like, okay, this is how I feel. This is how you could feel too, because this is the problem that you're having. This could be a solution. So I use this company and the tools that we have to offer as solutions to help people feel better, higher level feelings, you know? So I hope that that resonates and that makes sense. Because when you come off in the beginning and you're viewing this as just numbers are important, but people are people, you know. Yes, we do get points for Success Club. Yes, that does mean we're building our business, but these are people and these are lives that we're actually impacting. And your story is the way that you, by living your authentic truth, something that we want to talk about too is just being authentic. You're giving other women permission, you know, not that they need it, but you know what I mean? When you see someone like Haley Garrett showing up and being extremely authentic and sharing her story, just very true to her, you know, not holding back, not trying to fit into a box or be something that she's not, she's just her. It makes you feel like, oh, you know, she's shining her light and being authentic to her. I can too. It kind of gives you permission, even though, like I said, you don't need it. It's just a really good feeling to see someone showing up authentically like that. So I knew that Success Club was the way I built this business. And in the beginning, there was a lot of times where I was running around all month trying to figure shit out because I didn't know what I was doing and I didn't really have a groove. So can you hit record? Yes, thank you. Missed the whole beginning. Hello. Hope your water got turned on. I love when you yell and you're muted. So I knew in the beginning that I had to come up with a better system because, you guys, I did this for about a year where I knew Success Club was important and I knew that that's how I built this business, by helping at least 3 people start the same way I did. But I was running around like waiting for it to happen. And I know that maybe some people can relate and you're just like, it's going to happen. And you have like this positive mindset, it's going to happen. But then you start getting stressed because the middle of the month comes and you're like, it hasn't happened yet, but you haven't done anything. You're just waiting, you know, because I've gotten caught in that trap too, where if I show up and if I just post and if I just, you know, do the things, the people will come. And I have to think about myself back in the, you know, in the very beginning stages of me not really knowing much about Beachbody. And I didn't just come to Colleen, you know, like, yeah, sure, I saw her stuff and I was interested. Maybe I give it a like here and there, but she reached out to me. So just sitting there waiting, like that was very stressful to me as a new coach trying to hit Success Club, was just waiting for it to happen. And I'm guilty of doing that for way too long until I actually started reaching out to people, because I had to think, well, you know, when I was loving on all Colleen's stuff and I was just curious, if she wouldn't have sent me the message just to initiate a conversation. She didn't send me a message and it wasn't like, do you want to join my program? It wasn't like that at all. She was like, hey, I heard you have this elbow injury, something like that, because I had like tendonitis in my elbow. And she had noticed that. She probably did her research because that's her job, right? So she probably saw me say something about it. I don't know. But we started talking about that. And it was a genuine, yeah, she recommended Tiger Balm. See, it was a genuine, authentic connection. Like, she wasn't trying to sell me. She just saw something and she was like, oh, let's chat, you know, because this girl's all over my stuff. She's obviously watching my stuff for a reason, right? Like, there's a reason our paths crossed. Maybe we didn't know what it was at the time, but it wasn't hard for her just to be real and message me. And that's what she did. So I had to think back when I'm trying to build this business and help people. If Colleen never would have sent me a message, we probably would have never had a conversation, because not that I didn't want to talk to her, but most people aren't going to just reach out to a stranger. Some do, and I think that's amazing, and I always commend their braveness, because it's not easy, especially in a world where we fear like judgment or rejection. So reaching out to someone and then being like, why are you talking to me? Because like, sadly, that happens. People are mean on social media. I've reached out to people before and they're like, I don't know you. We don't have any mutual friends. Why are you writing me? And I'll just be like, oh my God, my assistant did that. Sorry. You know, and even though if she didn't, I just lie. And then I'm like, moving on. Don't need that kind of energy in my life. They usually always come back around. But just, you know, to make it clear, we can't just sit here and wait. So I learned that the hard way after many months of struggling to try to, you know, I hit Success Club, I think in like my second or third month as a coach. I think my second. And then I didn't want to stop because I knew that that's how I build this business. And also I really like recognition, and the streaks like really make me happy, and not like keeping up with a streak gives me like anxiety, because I like that feeling of just knowing that I'm serious. And I knew that people weren't not that my worth and everything was dependent upon the people around me, but I wanted to be taken seriously. And if I wanted to be taken seriously in this business, and I wanted the people I was talking to, and showing up on social media, and I wanted to build this business where people saw me and they took me seriously, I had to take me seriously, which means I actually had to do this business, and I had to show up, and I had to keep doing it no matter how many people were telling me it was a joke and it was a scam and it's not a real job. Like if I had a quarter for every time I heard go get a real job, I would be so rich right now. And I just had to shake that stuff off, because it's not about me, and it's not our job to convince other people like our intentions and our heart. We don't have to. If someone's not going to understand and they're committed to misunderstanding you, like that's on them. That's not you, and that's not your people. Hello, Megan. Oh, not Megan, Lexi. Megan's like, I don't do that shit. Don't unmute me. Anyways, so we have to take ourselves seriously. And I knew that in order for myself to, to take myself seriously, so that the people around me, my husband, my family, would take me seriously, is I had to show up. I had to actually be building this business, which was hitting Success Club, right? So like I said, for probably the first 6 months to a year, I flailed around a lot and just like hope things would happen and waited. And I would stress myself out to the end of the month and being like, oh my God, I just need one more person, and then I'd be scrambling because I didn't want to let myself down in that way, because I felt like I was upholding like a commitment, not only that I made to building this business and the people around me, but to myself. And I didn't want to let myself down. So what we're going to transition to is now how we have set ourselves up to make it a habit, and it just is like momentum. I don't know if you've heard the talk about momentum, and this business at first is kind of like rolling a big heavy rock up a hill, because you have to get that momentum going, and it's hard. But once you get the momentum going and you get in the movement of like talking to the people, inviting the people, running the groups, talking to the people, inviting the people, like this month, this business has a 3 to 6, 9-ish month delay. So the work that you're doing now, pushing that big heavy boulder, and you're like, God, this is hard, this is heavy, this sucks, like that the results to that work is going to show up 3 to 6 to 9 months later. And that's where I was pushing that rock up, trying to find my groove. Like, when do I invite? When do I ask people? How many conversations do I need to have to hit this in the beginning of the month? That way I'm not stressed, because I wanted to focus on also creating a team. And I didn't have the space to focus on helping coaches, because I was always stressed about, locking in my own goals. You know what I mean? Because I didn't have a system. And so I came up with, what Colleen has always taught us, is that we have to do the business building activities first and foremost. And it was something that wasn't easy for me, because it required discipline, which was a skill I was building. It's not something that I've always been. I had no discipline ever, obviously, because I didn't work out. I wasn't healthy. I didn't care about anything. I had no goals, so it's definitely a skill. If you're like, wow, I'm just really undisciplined, like you can build that, because I did. You just have to practice it. And so I would catch myself making like pretty graphics for groups and like spending too much time creating like a cover photo. And it's like, well, did I lock in Success Club? Because that's literally the only way I'm going to build this business. And if I didn't, I'd be like, I need to stop this now. And I need to go back to my inviting, back to my, posting and sharing my story, messaging people that are supporting me and thanking them, starting genuine conversations, and going back to those business building activities until, because my focus was, I get excited. So I'm like all over the place. So I had to make myself a little Post-it note, and I taped them to my laptop at the top here. So anytime I opened it to work, there they were. And it was like, no scrolling Facebook, no doing this, business building invites. Have you locked in Success Club? What are your goals? Like to keep it my front and center, I would put Post-it notes in my house, because for me, it's out of sight, out of mind. So my goals don't have to be your goals. Totally fine. Like, we're all different. We are all leading different lives. Our goals are going to be different, because what we want out of this business and life is different. So I need you to sit and think about, what are your goals for this business? Like Success Club, if you're building it, the minimum is 5. So that should be your first goal. So ultimately that should be the first thing. Like, it's the first of the month, right? How perfect, like, for this is a good chat to have right now. So for me, I'm, I have all this stuff and all these ideas and all these things I'm excited to do, but I have to sit down and be like, wipe all that off of my slate, because right now it's the first of the month and now I'm refocused on locking in my goal of helping 3 to 5 people get started. So the way that I will start that is I will have a piece of paper or whatever you use to take notes, and I will start making a 10 in playlist. And I know that we've talked about this before, but I don't think we've talked about it to the point where we've had it on recording, but I don't remember. So I will start looking, right? Looking through my conversations. What are my follow-ups? Like, where did I leave off? Oh, she was interested last month. I'll hit her up. Hey, Colleen, did you have you thought more about the group? I know you were excited because you're going to get married and you really like want to feel X, Y, and Z in that dress. And especially on the night after the wedding, like I'll just start reminding them of their goals, and I'll be like, I know how you want it to feel. You told me this was important to you. Or I'll be like, hey, Shelby, you talked to me 4 years ago and told me you were ready to get started. The way Shelby signed up is I screenshot her a picture of what she said to me. I'm ready. I feel like this, blah, blah, blah. And it was like forever ago. And I was like, so was this like a lie? And I sent it to her and she was like, oh my God, I said that, I'm ready. And then she signed up. Like, I don't know. So I was doing that. So say Shelby was like, oh my God, yes, I'm ready. Like, yes, I'll write Shelby down on my 10 in play. I'll have just a list of 10 people. Shelby will be number 1. And I am going to hammer her until she tells me no, or she signs up on this list. Cause she's like, yes, I want to do this. So I'm going to message her like 1,000 times a day and be like, hey, what do you like? What is your food like? Tell me about this. This is what we're going to do in the program. I'm just going to keep hammering her until she says, no, I'm not ready. Then I'll take her off the list and add her to my follow-ups, or she signs up and I cross her off, and then I move her into like, okay, let's go in the groups. This is here, and blah, blah, blah. So I hope that makes sense. That will be a list of 10 people, and I will start building my list now. I'm going to look at my list from last month, the list from before, look at all my follow-ups, and start building that list. So like I said, I had to wipe my slate clean. Like, this is me wiping my slate clean, because I have a list of all these things I want to do right now and I'm excited about, but it's the first of the month. So I need to be refocused on my business building goals, which is locking in Success Club, right? That's helping 3 to 5 people. So I hope this makes sense. And yes, Colleen said having a list of 10 in play makes her feel so organized. It makes follow-ups much easier. And I totally agree. And I have them everywhere. Like, it'll be a little post-it. Sometimes it'll be notes on my phone, but most of the time it's my notebook, because I just like the feeling of having this. And because I leave it out, I see it all the time. And I'm like, oh, I got to message Shelby because she had a question about the shakes and I found the answer. So I'm going to go talk to her about that and see if she's ready yet. So I'll just start hammering the shit out of these people until they say yes or no. And that is how I do it. Obviously there's more to it than that, but that's the basis of it. And I knew, when I started as a new coach, that it wasn't an option if I wanted to build this business. Granted, everyone starts coaching for different reasons. Some people just want community. Some people just want friends. Some people just, want to make a little extra income. Some people want to go all the way to the moon. Some people want to make this their full-time job. Whatever your goals is, it's fine. I just think that it's important that you're clear about them, and then your actions reflect that. Like I said, like, your goals don't have to be what mine are or Colleen's or Nikki's, but they have to be true to you. So that way you're actually excited to show up. One of the worst traps I got in was trying to just say things just to say it. Like, I want this, even though like it sounded good because other people said it, but like, did I really want that? So, that's always important, especially with the new month, to just kind of revisit your goals of what you want and where you want to take this business. And then you adjust your workload to match those goals. And if your workload, business building activities, when I say that, doesn't match, then you have to adjust the goal. And for me, that doesn't feel good. I don't want to adjust my goal. Like, if my goal is freedom and to, be able, let me turn that off. It's loud. Hang on. If my goal is freedom, and to earn an income to be able to pay half of my bills and to just all these like really big things, I don't want to have to make those goals smaller because I'm not showing up to do the work that counts. And I urge you that if you have blocks around doing the business building activities, this is something we need to talk about, because you're inviting, like, someone told me, like, who am I to keep this from people? Who am I to keep people from feeling better? Like, I'm a tool. I'm just the middleman. I'm not the one that's going to make you feel better, but I'm the one that's going to connect you to what helped me. Why would I not? Why would I be selfish and be like, I don't want to? That's like Nikki and I went to this bomb sushi restaurant that someone reached out to her on Instagram and said, hey, you need to go here. This has the best sushi. it's like the same thing. Something worked for that girl. She loved it. She's sharing it with us. What if Nikki and I were like, oh my God, this is so good, but like, I don't want to share it with anybody because it's just like, it feels uncomfortable. No, I told everyone, I was like, dude, this is the best place. You guys have to eat here, because I'm sharing something that I like. And so another thing I would think about is if you find yourself running into problems sharing, like, one, do you even like what you're doing? Do you even like this? Do you even like coaching? Do you even like us? Like, I think that you do, right? And maybe you need to sit down and make a list of how you feel. Like, how does showing up in a community right now, knowing that nobody is judging you, knowing that everyone's loving you, knowing that everyone on this call right now just wants to see you succeed and thrive and rise and be your best, most confident self. Like, how does that make you feel? Don't you want to share that with someone else? Shouldn't they deserve to feel that too, especially if they come from a place like me of not having any supportive friends, of always feeling like they didn't fit in, of always feeling like, the odd man out and being like made fun of for being different? Like, especially if they feel like that, don't they deserve to feel that to know that there's a place that they can come where they won't be judged and they can fit in? Yes, the answer is yes. Okay, I could just keep talking because I had coffee, but I want to hear what, it's the coffee chat, it's okay. I just want to hear what Nikki has to say about her mindset and when she came into coaching and how she made that shift to understand that, it's important because she wants to build this business too. So I kind of want to get her perspective because sometimes, things coming from different people's mouths hit us differently.
Yeah. Hi. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay. So I am like the opposite of Kandace, where Colleen had to reach out to Kandace multiple times, right? And I just want to say, because there are people out there like me who, like, I reached out to Kandace and she couldn't respond fast enough. I was like, hello, doesn't this bitch know I want to join her? Like, here's my credit card. And she didn't answer me for the whole weekend, which I respect. She took time off for her family or whatever. But I just want you guys to know there are people like me, but it's very, very rare. And it happened to me twice this past week. And I think only because we were sharing so much about coaching. And a couple of them were people that I hadn't even talked to in years. So that's always like humbling to know, but I've been putting in the work for the last 4 years. I just celebrated my 4-year coach anniversary on, I actually just looked and it was the 29th of August. So that was fun. I was with Kandace. Or no, I had just gotten home. So for me, it just made sense because I watched Kandace. I was one of those people that was already kind of sharing my awkward gym pictures at the gym. And I always thought like, I wish there was something I could post on Instagram and I could get paid for it and work out and do all these things. Lo and behold, there's coaching and this girl with purple hair just like popped up on my Instagram. I was like, cool, there is, awesome. So for me, it just made sense. And I knew other than posting, I had to like do something by reaching out and inviting people, right? I can't even read. You're laughing so hard right now. I'm turning the chat off. So for me, Gangster Rap Connections, Haley Christian created her Gangster Rap Connections, and that resonated with me so freaking hard. And to this day, I still use that. That's what really propelled me forward. Another thing, I was on a call at the beginning of my coaching journey, and I can't even remember who, but I just remember so vividly. He was like, if you're not sending 5 invites minimum a day, like, what are you doing? And my boyfriend at the time had heard that. We were sitting on the couch and he was like, so do you send 5 invites? And I was like, no, I guess I better. And right then, from that day forward, I have not sent less than 5 invites a day. Now I send 10 invites out every single day until I hit Success Club. Because I remember Colleen told me the first 2 weeks of the month are hustle mode. That's when you want to hit Success Club, right? And I'm going on another trip next week. I want to lock in Success Club before I leave for that trip. So I don't have to worry. I don't have to like get my computer out. I can just do the basics of coaching, which is sharing my journey. And that always excites people while I travel. So that just comes naturally. So I just encourage you to, like, numbers for me is, I don't know, I like to have like a number, like, okay, today I'm going to wake up and do 10 invites. I was talking to somebody and they're like, I haven't invited in 2 weeks. And I'm like, why? Kandace was like, we're going to talk about how we hit Success Club today and how we make it a non-negotiable. And I was like, well, that's weird because I just do it. She's like, well, break it down. But I just do it. Do it. I always have somebody to invite to in my inbox, whether it's one of my, like right now, since it's the beginning of the month, I work through my my questionnaire. So if somebody has filled out my questionnaire in the past and hasn't enrolled with me, I'm going to start with one, and every day I'm going to go through 20 of those until I hit Success Club, you know, because they've already filled out the questionnaire. They probably know the price. Now it's probably just getting them to pull the trigger, to save that money, to whatever their excuse is, right?
Do you have do you in a like a short little way, can you elaborate what Gangster App Connections is? Like I mean it's just making a list,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like
I skipped over that. So I don't remember it exactly, but she had like a notebook, and however long that notebook was, she would fill with the line or fill within the lines. So the first part, she would go and see whose birthday it is. She'd put in their names. The next part, she would do, I think it would be invites, and she would put names in. The next part she would do is like random connections. And so her notebook only held like maybe 20 names. But if you're doing that, like the compound effect, if you do that every day for a whole month, I don't even know math. 3 times, that's like what, 100 and I don't know. That's a lot of people in 30 days, right? I'm not going to.
okay, that's helpful just for people who have never heard of that and they're like, you know, because you said it and then we're just like, now the next thing.
Yeah,
okay.
Thank you for that. On track, but I definitely go look up her YouTube video. It's still there, and she's done a couple of them. I think there's one on the Beachbody Champions page as well. So to this day, I still use it, and it's just super simplified because you know exactly as soon as I wake up, I send out birthday messages because that's easy, right? And I don't have to think about invites yet. And people who will ignore you all these years will say thank you. I've had people I send a birthday message to, and they don't necessarily like say anything back, but they say, okay, well, like, I'd love to join your virtual health club. I'm like, well, what about a thank you for your birthday message? Like, you know, so it's just like, you never know where people are at in their lives, and just keep going. No matter how many times they ignore you, just keep going.
And since Nikki sends out, you know, those messages, you know, when not to badmouth anyone, but you know when a business online sends you a message and they're like, hey girl, have you heard of these leggings? And you go to their page because you're like, what is this? Because I'm the first person that's like, let me do my research. If someone approaches me to buy something, I immediately go to their profile to see if they're legit, right? And half the time there's no posts about it. There's no posts of them looking like they're the best leggings in the world. There's no posts of them showcasing leggings. And I'm just like, no. So the fact that Nikki, you know, I immediately just like the message gone. I'm good, done. You lost me. So the message there is that when Nikki reaches out to these, you know, strangers or whatever, people that are following her, and she's just like, oh my God, hey, cool dress. Where'd you get that? I'm looking for one for my next trip. Oh, hey, love your lipstick. Just got red. I would love purple. You know, whatever the genuine thing is that she's curious about, that she's talking to them about, they can be like, who's this girl? They go to her page and then they get exposed to her story, right? And then they're like, oh, okay, like she is legit. She does show up, and it makes them more comfortable because consistency and showing up on social media it builds trust. You know, when people can read your story and they see parts of your life through imagery and your words, they feel like they can get to know you on a sense that makes them comfortable. Like when Colleen reached out to me and she was like, hey, your elbow, blah, blah, blah. You know, I'm sure I went to her profile and I was just like, you know, because I have to see that I'm not just going to talk to someone with a dog picture and one photo of a tree on their Instagram. Like, I'm just not. That makes me uncomfortable. I don't know who you are. You could be a 95-year-old man. Like, I don't know. And I don't like that. You know, nothing against 95-year-old men. Our grandpa literally just turned 100 this year. 100. Anyways, it's just, you have to be showing up too, because if you're doing the behind the scenes work, which is cool, you know, that's really important. But if there's nothing on your storefront, which is your social media, that makes me uncomfortable. And I think if you put yourself in someone's shoes that doesn't know you, and I do this to myself all the time. I'm constantly going to my page every week and flipping through it. I look at it from Cody's phone to see what it looks like from someone who isn't me. I go to it from the laptop to see what it looks like here. And I'm auditing myself and I'm saying, what are people feeling when they open up my page? What message am I sending? How am I letting them know me? What do they know that they can join me? Do they know I'm into fitness? Have I shared a transformation? Have I talked about my growth? You know, am I sharing my feelings? Like, what are they feeling? Because if I'm going to invite them and then they go to my page and there's nothing about anything, they're going to be like, No, because it seems weird. And that's when it comes off, in my opinion, as scammy. And I know none of us want to be like that. So the more that you show up, just put yourself out there and show up things that you like, things that you enjoy, your hobbies, let people know you, let them in, you know, because they say people aren't buying necessarily our products. Like, they can go to beachbody.com or teambeachbody.com. They don't need us, right, to get what we have to offer. The difference from someone just going online and buying, you know, Recover or Shakeology, or going through a coach, the difference is us. So why would we not show up and be our true authentic selves? Because that's what sets us apart. Nikki and I are different. You know, we don't share the same story. That's our power. So I really want you to remember that when you're going to invite people, that make sure that you're showing up on the front as well. And I don't want to tell you to not invite people if you haven't been consistent in the front. Just start doing it. It's fine. You know, just start doing it. Anyways, do you have anything to add to that, Nikki?
Yeah, I was going to say about social media. A lot of people will start, and then all of a sudden they're just Beachbody coaches. And it's like, but where did your hiking stories go? Where did this go? You used to go water skiing last week. Like, what happened now? You know, nobody wants to follow just a Beachbody coach. That's not relatable. Obviously, we share workouts, we talk about coaching, blah, blah, blah. But what about in the middle? You know, Kandace always told me, like, if you don't like your life, then go out and create one. You know, there's nothing more powerful of seeing, like, a full-time working woman, I'll specify. And then she comes home, for example, and she shows on her stories like, oh my God, I'm so exhausted, but I'm going on a 5-minute walk because this is what I want to use coaching to build so I can have 30-minute walks without feeling stressed. You know, and then that's just like a small way to integrate your life, because who does that ultimately benefit? It doesn't necessarily benefit your following. It doesn't necessarily benefit your business. It can, but ultimately you going out and forcing yourself to live a fun life, is going to benefit you. And so, yeah, it's going to look good on your social media. It's going to make social media a little bit easier, but ultimately you're going to be, you know, like, we're getting into the dark months of the year. You're going to be working on you. You're going to be, it's just ultimately going to benefit you by getting out and living your best life, by getting out of your comfort zone and saying, I'm too lazy, I'd rather sit on the couch and watch Family Guy. Say, I'm going to get out for 10 minutes and go for a walk, even though it's dark and it's 6:30 p.m. You know, just stuff like that, because that's what you ultimately want, right? That's just an example, is to live a different life, to live a free life, to, at least personally for me. So sometimes when I was at my busiest, I would still get out and, like, hey, I'm going for a couple snowboard runs today because I have the time, or I'm creating the time with coaching, and I'm really excited because it was payday, so I'm going to go celebrate. Something like that. So get out and live your life, because it's going to benefit you and your freedom and your happiness.
Absolutely. Which is first and foremost the mission of this job, is focuses on you, which no other job in my experience has. It's always been about the company. Anyways, there was something I wanted to add, because she said, you know, about sharing who you are. When I first started this business, I didn't know who I was. So coaching was who I was, right? So I adopted, like, well, I don't really know any hobbies that I have, because I didn't have any. I did not have a sense of identity. I didn't know really anything about myself. And it didn't really come to my attention that I was just a cookie cutter Beachbody coach. You know, I went to work every day, and I shared that, and I shared the food I took. I shared in my lunch break room, you know, that I was at work and I was, you know, reading this book on my break that was only 30 minutes, and I'd get yelled at because I'd get really into this book, and they're like, your break's over. It was literally the worst feeling ever. And I was like, wow, I can't wait till I just never have to experience that again. That was cool. And that's a true story. That's not a good feeling when you accidentally forget that you go over your break and they're like, hey, your break's over. Like, you're the biggest dummy trying to, like, steal money from the company. And you're like, oh my God, I just like this book, Sharon. Her name was Sharon. She was really nice. Anyways, so I didn't know who I was as a new coach. I didn't have hobbies. So I know Nikki is like, oh, you know, go do the stuff that you like. But if you're like me and you're like, I don't know what I like. Like, make it your mission to discover that. That's literally what this business is all about. Self-discovery, personal development. And I know I've done that talk a couple times where I'm like, if you say my life's boring, get a life. Like, what do you like? There are things that you enjoy. If you're saying that you're boring and you don't have a life, you're just lying to yourself, and that doesn't feel good. There are things that light you up, and you're just denying them, and that's not fair to you, and that's not fair to the world, because the things that light you up are the things that you were put here to share, because by lighting yourself up, you're lighting the world up. You're making the world a better place. You're lighting people in your family up. You're lighting your friends up. You're being a light. Okay. So don't give yourself permission to explore. Like Nikki said, okay, so maybe you're like, well, I've never really just taken a 10-minute walk after work before. Maybe that's part of my hobby. And then share about it, oh, I didn't like it at all. Actually, walking's not my thing. It's fine if you try something and you're like, didn't really like it. Or if you're like, cool, well, I'm just going to try like knitting because maybe that could be my hobby. And you do it and you're like, man, not really for me. That's fine. But how do you know until you try, right? Like Shelby and I were talking about this the other day, because I was like, well, we were talking about her feed, and I'm like, well, like, what do you like? Because I don't really know much about you from your feed, what do you like? It's just like basic coach stuff. And she was like, well, we go off road all the time. We do like overlanding. We do rock crawling. I really like gardening. And I was like, I would love to see that. I don't care about, like, yes, sharing the workouts is important, but in my opinion, I'm like, cool, she did a workout. Like I want to see her progressing in her garden. Like that's exciting to me because that lights her up. And by seeing what lights her up, that makes me excited. I don't give a shit about gardening, but it lights her up. So it makes me excited, right? Like that's just how that works. So I hope that this makes sense to you. If you feel like, oh shit, like I'm just boring, I don't have a life. Like it's okay. I was there. And like I said, it wasn't brought to my attention until maybe like a year-ish or less into this business. This guy was like, I went out and did something with Cody and we looked really cute. So I had someone take a picture of us, and it was probably one of the first pictures I actually took of us like doing something, because we weren't together a lot in the beginning of this business. We lived in separate towns. That was a huge reason why I needed to make this business work, was to be a wife again, because I just didn't see a possibility any other way. Couldn't afford it, too expensive, couldn't get a home. We lived separately. It was, it just wasn't working. So I took a picture, or someone took a picture, I posted it, and some guy who is just no one, right, but messaged me, and he was like, oh, it's nice to see you actually out of the house for once. And I had this like moment where I was like, oh my God, because I wasn't auditing my social media. I wasn't going through and looking, what do people know about me? They know that I work. They know that I work because I share pictures of me in the break room. They know that I work. They know that I work out. They know that I get results. They know that I eat healthy, but they don't know anything about me. Like those things are all great, but they know nothing about me. What do I enjoy? And that's kind of when I started doing trying yoga poses, because I was like, oh, maybe this is fun. And it was exciting to me. People were excited to watch my videos of me trying like the scorpion pose and how long I could hold it. Ooh, 3 seconds. People celebrated with me, because I was excited and it was lighting me up. It's not that was like all, I hope this makes sense. What I'm trying to say is you have to just try things, because how will you know if it's for you until you try it? So I don't want to keep talking in circles. I hope the point was made.
Yeah, I think we're going to talk about Success Club again. For me, obviously we always ask our new coaches what our why is. And for me, my why was to be free, but the vacations were more of what motivated me. When I first became a new coach, Kandace went to Punta Cana. So I was super sad that we didn't get to go to Punta Cana this year, because I missed it the first year too. But that like motivated me, because I was there for the very next trip and I haven't missed a trip. Anytime, like Kandace knows, if she's not going to like invite me on a vacation unless she's serious, because I'll show up at her door in 2 weeks from now. And so like that like motivated to me, because it was like rewarding, and in a way it showed people that I was successful. And 3 people a month got me qualified for this motherfucking trip. Like hell yeah. Like I cannot wait to go to Mexico next year. I'm bringing my mom. I don't care. I'm so excited to show her that like I earned this trip for us, and I've already earned it. I'm on track, because I've been hitting more than just than the basic Success Club 5. So maybe something like that motivates you, where you need to, or where you want like the recognition, where I guess in a way, like I kind of got recognized. The first time I went to Mexico with Kandace, we got so much one-on-one time. The next year we were on, where were we? Was at the cruise, and then so many other people had joined us, and I couldn't imagine sitting at home in Colorado and watching her post pictures of the cruise without me. Like, I would have major FOMO. So maybe something like that. Maybe you need to start getting together with people in your community to make it feel more real too, because there's only so much you can feel between, you know, computer screens. There's a time where Kandace and I will get disconnected, and then when I go and visit and we have that quality time, it's like we're relit again, like and it just feels good because the community in this is everything. But if you're not immersing yourself in the community and being an island, you're not going to feel that, and nobody's going to reach out to you. Maybe your coach will occasionally, but like, nobody's here to hold your hand or drag your leash and make you do the things. If you want it, the vacations made me want it. And so I don't know.
Yeah,
Oh.
I forgot about that, but I totally agree. The vacations, I mean, I come from a place where a past where I was raised in a very broke mindset. We weren't poor, but we might as well have been, because that's the mindset that we grew up in. I don't say that with any disrespect to my family. You know, everyone's been through their stuff, but the moment I decided I wanted more, I committed to letting go of that mindset that there wasn't enough for me. And when I saw that coaching allowed you to earn a vacation, granted, I mean, I'd taken vacations before, but they weren't all inclusive, and, you know, maybe like for only a couple of days, and I had to put everything on a credit card. That was my MO. Vacations were completely on credit cards. And then I would pay for it for the next 10 years, right? Like, cause that's how it works. It's like, we went to Vegas. I know I posted my picture from me at Vegas yesterday, as my transformation. And that trip was completely credit card funded between two cards because we couldn't afford it, but I still wanted to travel because traveling and going and doing things and seeing new places was important to me, but I couldn't afford it. So I was putting myself in debt to do that for us, doing it for us, and every other vacation would be like a couple of days, and we'd usually only get to go once a year because work would only let you have like a week off, 5 days off, 4, I don't even know, hardly any paid vacation time. And I couldn't pay my bills, literally could not pay my bills. If I missed like 2 days of work, we were struggling. And like, that's not even that much, but that's to show you how like pressed we were, and we weren't even living beyond our means. We just had a basic house, whatever, like it wasn't even crazy. But I grew up with a poor mindset, so I just always thought that there was never enough for me, and that's just the way that things were. And I saw Colleen go on a vacation, and I was just like, what is she doing? Like in my head, I'm like, oh, cool for her. And then you learn about it, and you learn that it's actually like a perk of the business, and it's just it's unbelievable, truly, because I was like, I would love to take my husband on a vacation that, for one, I didn't have to charge on credit cards, and for two, he didn't have to pay for anything, and he's always working, so I could treat him to something. And it just looked really sexy to me to have this, like, at least if it was only one time and I was a new coach, and I was like, if I could just have one of these a year, just one, not even including Summit, just that one tropical vacation with the person of my choice, and I could earn that for free, just have one, that would change my life, right? Like, and for people that don't like traveling, like, that's cool. There's other stuff too. But community and just getting together with those people really solidified this business for me and Cody, because he was able to meet people that he wouldn't have been able to meet otherwise on these trips. And they are his friends now. Like, he tells Nick, he's like, when's our friend coming? When Nikki came, and he's like, Nikki's our friend, he like he paid for like our brunch or whatever. And we're like, oh, we'll pay you. And he was like, no, like, you already did the work to come here. Now we treat you like we're like family friends, right? Like, that's how he feels. And being able to take him there and get him to know the people really changed everything, for our relationship, and for him taking this business seriously, especially since he didn't have to pay for anything. I'm like, oh, you want an alcohol pass? You want a party? Here you go. Like, it was included because I earned it. So that was really important to me. We didn't get to take a honeymoon when we got married. We were too broke. We didn't even pay for the place we got married. They were nice and just let us have it there, and we could only have like 10 people or something. And we stayed the night there in one of their like bigger rooms for 2 nights, but it was literally like, I could see our apartment from, if you walk out and you look over the main road in the hill, there was our apartment. Like, I could see my apartment from where honeymoon, for my wedding. So I was like, man, we didn't even get to go on a honeymoon. Like, I need this, right? And yeah, anyways, do you have anything to add to that, Nikki or Colleen?
No, we've got about 10 more minutes, I'm guessing, but I just wanted to say about non-negotiables. I'm doing the work every single day. For me, I don't know necessarily how Kandace fits it into her day, but I'm very busy. I like to get out of the house. So like this morning, I knew this call was coming up, and I got up at 4 a.m. I did my personal development, did my meditation, did my reading, set my tone for the day, and then I dove into my inbox at like 5:30 a.m. and got it all done by 7, did my workout, and now here I am. And so for me, that's where my non-negotiable is. If I don't get it done first thing in the morning, it's not getting done. And that showed when I was in California, because Kandace was in bed, like she thrives at night. She was in bed responding to Instagram messages, doing stories, and I'm like, just tag me. Like I literally can't right now. Like end of the day, Nikki's out. Just catch me at 5 a.m. though. So like fit it into your schedule how it fits for you. I know Haley Garrett like sets little, like timers, and at this time she's going to do this, at this time she's going to do this. I can't relate to having a kid. I can't imagine. I feel like I'd get up at 3 a.m. just to get all my shit done, but that might be completely wrong whenever I have a kid. So like for me, it just has to get done. And if it's not getting done, my whole day honestly feels like off. So that's it. You're up, Colleen.
We'll see how this goes. Nixon is next level right now. That's why I was honestly being quiet. Say hi, buddy. Okay.
Hi, Nixon. Hi, Nixon.
See, they're saying hi. Now he'll be quiet. So I was enjoying listening to you guys, because I feel like, I'm always saying the same things, and the way that we all do business so different, and the way that you all have learned what works for you, I think is the best part about being on this team, is because we're all so different. One thing I wanted to talk about when you guys were talking about connections, because I feel like how to invite and how to connect and, how to actually get people to sign up is the biggest question that a lot of coaches ask. Like, how do you make connections? What do you say? And here's what I've learned in the last 2 years for myself personally, because I feel like I've had to kind of reinvent my business after I kind of got bored for a little bit, So you guys kept using the word community. And anytime that I feel like I am a little behind in my business, I'm not helping as many people, I'm not creating my 10 in play list. To be honest, guys, a 10 in play list is the minimum. Like my list is a lot longer than that, but that at least is just the healthy minimum to keep the pipeline going. But community, if you struggle with making connections, I want to challenge you guys to be the best challenger in your online communities that you possibly can. Get on the virtual workouts if you can. I know like Katie Rainey, I'm not even going to say that it's like my virtual workout. It's totally hers. I'm just like totally the third wheel on a lot of it, but it reinvigorated my desire to connect with people, because without human connection in the community, this business is just selling products. And so I love that this is a people business. So if you're like, well, I'm really struggling with connections, I feel like you have to really work on the social skill of getting involved with the online community first. So Kandace kept saying, I hope that makes sense. I hope that what I just said makes sense, because in my mind, I feel like those that struggle to randomly connect with people and have that online social conversation, really ask yourself, are you being the best challenger by giving value and showing up in the challenge group? Are you showing up on the things like the team calls? Are you showing up on the virtual workouts that people host? Because when you feel that little spark and that little fire, you're going to want to give that to someone else. And I just feel like my conversations flow a lot better when I'm involved with you guys and with our online community. So if you're newer or maybe a little bit more introverted, shy, you're not someone who's like messaging Kandace, 6 years ago about the tiger balm and her elbow injury was easy for me, because I've always been extremely social. But for some of you, that might not be normal or something you've always done. So just practice by being a part of, fully immerse yourself in, be a part of the communities that we have. And that's really
cool. It makes absolute sense when you feel that spark. You like when you love something, you can't shut up about it. Like, are we right? So we have to find what we love. Like, I don't know if you guys know Siobhan. I can always use her as an example because she's obsessed with 2B mindset. She literally can't shut up about it, and it has just exploded her business. So when you find something that you love about this business, don't shut up about it, right? Like, just yell it from the mountaintops. And in addition to the communication thing, I have never been a good communicator, speaker, talker, messenger. Like I would just, I wasn't good at this. I wasn't good at messaging people. It was awkward, but I was just committed to like learning, and I would like mess up a message so bad to where the people would be like, and I'm like, was that weird? Like, I think it's fine if you're like in a conversation with someone and you say something and they like ghost you and you're like, oh, did I offend you? And they're like, well, no. And you're just like, okay, cool. And then you learn, okay, well that sucked and I sucked at that. So now I'm going to like take the experience to the next conversation and I'm going to use that. Okay, Kandace, do not word vomit. And then I'm just going to learn, and then I don't word vomit. I'm like, oh, that went smoother. Okay, how can I take what I learned from that conversation to the next one? And this is a very important, crucial part right here that most people skip, is that how you show up online is how you should also be in person. And I know that people are like, right? Because that wasn't me. So let me tell you, when I was at a bar one time, back when I thought like I could still go to the bar because I'm sober, it's fun. No, it sucks. I was at the bar and this girl walked up to me and I had my water or whatever. And she's like, oh, Kandace, blah, blah, blah. I follow you on Instagram. Blah, 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 blah. And she started talking and I'm just like, I didn't say shit. And she was like, it's weird. You have so much to say online. You don't say anything in person. I was just like, you, because I was just like rude, and then I took that experience and I was like, what is that trying to teach me? Because I don't want to be someone that shows up online and I'm like, look at all this confidence. Oh my God. And then you meet me in person and I have none of it. Because that, in my opinion, is false advertising. And I had that dawn on me and I was like, I don't like that. So I had to start attacking my, more than just, I'm strong behind a keyboard, because I wanted to be better. And I'm, cool, we have confidence online and behind a keyboard, but like, how is it in person? And I think it's extremely important to notice where you lack in those areas, because those are just places for improvement, which I went to Colleen and I was just like, I need to be a better speaker. And she was like, cool, speak at this Super Saturday in Reno in front of all these people. And I was like, I'd rather die, but okay. So I did it because I wanted to grow. And the only way that I can do that is by taking on the things that I suck at. So I did it. And I was just like, it was awful and I bombed, but I learned, right? And then the next time I did it again, it wasn't as bad. One time I did it in writing. I just kept asking for these opportunities to get myself uncomfortable because I wanted my online presence to match my in-person. And which brings me to this instance where Nikki and I were just at this coffee shop in Palm Springs, and we had been scootering there, and this guy was like turning into the parking lot and she flew past and he like slammed on his brake. He totally like almost hit her because he didn't see her, right? And so we're sitting down having our coffee and she looks over and she's like, that's the guy, whatever, that almost hit me. And I was like, what? Because I was in front hauling ass. I didn't see it. So he's like sitting there and he's like, oh my God, I almost hit you. And like, we didn't say anything. And I was just like, oh, okay. And I was like, hey, do you own this place? I don't know. He just looked like he did. And he was like, yeah. And I was like, cool. So we started talking. And I think that the lesson from that is you have to practice this in person too. It will make you more comfortable in your behind the scenes questions. And people are like, oh my God, not doing this. Like, I'm sorry, you have to. Like, you have to, because you can't be that person that's like, yeah, I'm so confident. Come build this confidence. And then they meet you in person and they're like, where is it? And that's a terrible feeling. And I know none of us want to feel that. We want to be authentic, which means we want to live up to what we're saying we are, right? So just practice it. And I do that all the time in public. I just say things to people just to practice. And sometimes people don't respond to me. Sometimes they're weird. Sometimes they do. But something I learned in the Courageous Confidence Club that I took was a course on speaking and stuff like that and building my confidence, was asking people questions. Because then they talk. I don't got to do anything. I just ask them a question. So I was like, hey, you own this place? And he just started talking to us. And he was like, yeah, I do. My friend owns the coffee shop. I own the dispensary, blah, blah, blah. And we just started having a conversation. I'm like, cool, do you own more? And he's like, yeah, I have them here. I have them here. I have them here. And he just started talking. And I was like, rad. And then he's like, cool, go inside. We'll give you a discount. And I was like, sick. But like, we wouldn't have known that if I didn't just say something, right? Like, and it didn't require that much effort. And I was practicing my skills, and it makes me more comfortable to speak to people, not just in person, but online, right? Like, because we want to do both. We don't want to just excel in one because they matter. And I wanted to bring that to...
Yeah, on top of that, I learned a lot from that lesson too, because I am newly single, and sometimes like I have this like mindset like, oh my God, every guy's looking at me. Oh my God, they just want to talk to me. Oh my God, they just want to, And Kandace was like, first of all, we were at the pool and I was like, oh my God, these guys totally looked at me. She's like, really? Because I'm pretty sure they're gay. And then we had talked to him later at the pool, and they're like, yeah, like I'm a drag queen. I was like, oh my God. She's like, told you he wasn't looking at you. But when we were, you know, she reminded me that it's not like, you know, like it doesn't have to be bad. And if you talk to this person, like she reminded me, like an octopus, maybe this person leads you to 8 other people, and maybe this one's a dud, this one's a dud, but this one becomes your next top coach. This becomes your best friend. Maybe she's your new roommate, you know, like whatever it is. So don't be like afraid to be like, or like assume for them what they're thinking about you. You know, like how rude of me to assume that gay guy thought I was hot, you know, like, sorry, bro.
So rude. No, it's funny. She said octopus because you guys remember that conversation I did, because I compare, like I see myself as a little octopus wherever I go in my connecting. Like I'm in Palm Springs right now. I have like unlimited tentacles. I'm trying to put my little connection tentacles out into everywhere in Palm Springs because I'm trying to make a name for myself here, like I did in Vacaville. Like people didn't know me when I first moved there. Then I was getting recognized in the grocery stores because I'm checking in here, I'm going here, I'm meeting this person. I'm just trying to put my connections out. And that wasn't just online, it was in person too, which is important because when I see coaches, and I told Nikki, and they're like, I live in this place, and I'm like, cool, how many coaches do you have around you? And they're like, none. I'm like, what? That makes no sense to me. How many friends do you have near you? Like, what are you doing if you're not like helping the people that are like literally right at your front door, right? Anyways, that's all on that. I don't even remember why I started talking about that, but it's important. So Colleen,
I was like, I'm just trying to unmute myself. So to kind of round it up, right? So I don't know what you said in the beginning. I missed the first 11 minutes, but I'm glad I recorded the rest of it because I just feel like it's a really good reminder that here's what I did. Every 3 months, and I feel like September 1st for me is a new quarter. It's September 1st. What am I going to do different this month? What new mindset in perspective and business skills and mom skills and wife skills and all the life skills, what am I willing to change? And this morning, my workout was just a hot mess. Nixon was like having a meltdown, throwing Legos everywhere, and it was crazy. And I just was like, okay, September 1st is a new season, a new month. What have you not been willing to do, Colleen? And for me, Muscle Burns Fat was like a whole new season for me as far as my fitness games. But this season for September, I'm challenging myself to do something different with the Be a Coach for a Week workshop that I'm doing different I've never done before. I'm doing a whole new arena with Brendan Burchard, my personal development. I really haven't been a big meditation person other than before I go to bed. So I'm trying new skills in the morning. And so anytime that I think of the success that Nikki or Kandace has had, it's because I've watched them seasonally, quarterly, annually, always reinventing who they are. And I feel like that helps their business on social media, their connections, when they're out in public, it helps them in such a big way. So that's my challenge for you guys, is to ask yourself, what have you not been willing to do? And what are you going to do different in this new season? September 1st, I'm usually not like it's a new month kind of person, but it is a new month to me in my personal life. It's a new season. It's also getting colder. And so if you're struggling, I feel like that's where that willingness and that discipline is going to go far for yourself if you can challenge yourself in a big way. If you don't feel confident about talking to people online, reinvent who you are, right? All your habits, your mindsets, your perspectives, where you're spending your time. I feel like that is where most people see success, is when they dive into those big changes. So cold, 111 degrees today. In the mornings, it's like 45 degrees here. So it's a little harder to get out of bed, that's for sure. All right, new month. I feel like it's a new year, even though it's still 2020. I don't know why September is like new year in my head, but
new moon, new year, new us. New goal.
I love it. So yeah. Thank you so much, Kandace and Nikki, for leading this. Sorry I was late.
It's okay. This felt really good, and I felt like our message was received well. So I'm really excited to share this.
Thanks for having me speak. I'm going through a lot, and it was cool just to put my coach hat on and pour into you guys, because it's what lights me up through the hardest times.
Mm-hmm. You're a great speaker too.
You are, seriously, so good.
Okay, love you guys.
All right, bye. Love you. Bye.